March 2034. The CA Northern Province Army, opposed to the CA Central African Community government, proclaimed the establishment of an independent government Zaingo. They gathered in the northern mountains and launched an armed attack against the community. With the onslaught of Zaingo, an organized armored unit of former government forces. Deprived of their main strength, the hastily built defensive units were destroyed one after another, and the defense line continued to retreat. With no way to deal with the overwhelming difference in strength, CA requested support from the SAUS, Southern African Union. They were left to wait for a rescue hand. April 2034. SAUS took the situation seriously and approached OCU, with which it had close ties, for cooperation. OCU avoided large-scale intervention out of concern for each community force. The decision was made to provide effective assistance by sending a small number of troops and weapons. This is where the focus of attention turned to the activation weapon. The WAW Jade Medal, which had partnered with Schneck on behalf of USNSDA, was developing its own direction based on its technology. OCU Army and Defense Forces have formed a special unit of combat WAW on short notice, put it into practice for the first time ever.
SAUS Military Operations Command, Intelligence Colonel, Ivesane Gol. You are now under my command. From now on, you will act as a special attack unit under the direct control of the Intelligence Department. Brace yourselves. The unit consists of 3 VARs that arrived with you and a logistics team. Lieutenant Earl McCoy, as unit commander, should be on the 1st WAW, 2nd Lieutenant Bruce Blakewood and Adjutant Dal Farfi will be on the 2nd and 3rd VARs, respectively. Logistical support will be provided by 2nd Lieutenant Chamili Finister, dispatched from the Army's Logistics Support Regiment. They will take care of any support you need. The command during the operation will be left to the unit commander, Lieutenant McCoy. I know you are busy with something, but do it well. Let me cut to the chase. In March of this year, the Northern Province Area Army revolted against the community government under foreign influence. The ringleader is Army Colonel Zayas Charmanjani. He is in charge of everything. The original culprits, the government leaders, fled abroad as soon as they realized the CA crisis. The remaining youth and well-meaning government officials are struggling to rebuild, but are having difficulty. Armed with regular army equipment, the enemy quickly gained control of the northern part of the country and then invaded the Congo Basin. Police and volunteer militias cannot compete, even if they tried. The army and equipment are in the hands of the enemy. The defensive line along the Alwami River has now retreated to 60 kilometers west of Kisangani. If the economic power of this city falls into enemy hands, Zaingo will have decisive control. If this happens, the enemy will extend its invasion to the entire CA. We must avoid that situation. That's where you come in. First, you must stop the invasion force that is approaching the city of Kisangani. But even WAW is a small unit. A blitzkrieg raid should finish them off. After breaking through the front line, penetrate deep into enemy lines. Strike the main force before the enemy can set up a defensive position. The enemy is deploying at relatively wide troop spacing for a siege. Disrupting the enemy's chain of command would allow CA militia forces to defeat them individually. Description of the first mission, look at the picture. Here's the status of the area of operation by the reconnaissance unit. The enemy is a mechanized infantry force, mainly armored fighting vehicles. An easy opponent for the WAW. Get plenty of maneuvering practice while you're at it. Most of the forested area where the battlefield is located is flat terrain. However, it is dimly lit and very difficult to see even during the daytime. Eliminate all enemies in the area to secure an entry route to the rear of the front line.
Let me explain Mission 2. Your next stop will be east of Bumba, in the area known as the Timbalai Front. Again, dimly lit and poor visibility. Once through this forest, the main enemy garrison would be just ahead. On the way, a garrison with 2 bulks at its core is deployed. As far as the deployment situation is concerned, the enemy does not yet consider the WAW a threat that's convenient. If they respond seriously, we will be outnumbered. We'll be hit intensively, and will eventually wear us down, but we're going to hell. Close in on the main force and hit this while the enemy doesn't know what the WAW is capable of.
Let me explain about Mission 3. The enemy's main force, accompanied by mechanized infantry and centered around 4 multi-legged tanks, is lying in wait deep within the forest. They seem to have formed a defensive formation in anticipation of the WAW unit's approach. Unlike the previous forested areas, this location features an open terrain with minimal cover. If we plunge into the midst of the densely packed enemy, we will likely be subjected to concentrated attacks. Systematically reduce the enemy forces from the outside.
I will explain about Mission 4. So, the enemy WAW, probably because it was hastily built from a prototype, has a model that's a generation old. But compared to the weapons we've dealt with so far, their breakthrough power and combat capabilities are gonna be different. The terrain of the infiltration route is vast, with upper, middle, and lower sections, connected by sloping paths. We need to conquer each level one by one.
Let me explain Mission 5. This area, which is the enemy's relay point, has an open pit in the center. For vehicles, there are narrow routes on the left and right, but they have to follow the path inside the vertical hole. However, with WAW, if there are flyable ledges, we can go straight through the center without circling around. The enemy WAW is made by EC Schneck, and it's a model called Vague. There are 2 of them deployed here, but they seem more like construction machines and not suitable for combat. The real issue here is that there are 2 attack helicopters deployed. Helicopters can move freely regardless of terrain and attack from above. During battles with other enemies, getting attacked from the sides or rear causes significant damage. Currently, it's challenging to deal with fast-moving helicopters. It might be a good idea to assign VAVs equipped with anti-aircraft back weapons for this. Annihilate the enemies in this area, seize control of the relay point that serves as the enemy's hub.